Hello, welcome into another episode of 321 Presents. Of course, I am the host for today. My name is Zach, and as usual, I'm not alone. I brought Nick along with me for the ride.
Hola, amigos.
Oh, and what a ride it's been this week. A lot of different interesting news stories we'll talk about, but where in the world would you like to begin, Nick?
Your favorite topic, of course. Baseball season has begun.
Yeah, I knew it was coming. I did not know it was happening now because we had the World Baseball Classic and everything. And
Yep.
We're here.
This is a testament to how bad MLB is at marketing their game. I regularly look at baseball news statistics. I'd put it in the search engine, like Colorado Rockies, a lot. It should be pretty high in my algorithm. I had no idea the first game of the year was on Wednesday night on Netflix.
Love it.
You know, Netflix, known for their high-quality sports broadcast.
They're working their way. This
is like their third one ever.
It's gotten a lot better overall. We've had the 2 football games. We've had 2 or 3 boxing matches over there. They're figuring out the live thing a little bit.
Well, you'll be very surprised to find out baseball fans did not think Netflix did a very good job with their first baseball game.
The first one is never a good one. That's just guaranteed.
And the problem with giving the first game of the season in the year where ABS challenges are a brand new thing leaves the historic milestone of the very first challenge ever in very inept hands. And in fact, there was no visual record of the first challenge ever because Netflix was doing a during gameplay interview with one of the players in the dugout and didn't cut away to the actual challenge at home plate.
Nice. Love it.
Yeah, so that's fun. MLB tried to fix it in post, but everyone who was watching is like,
we see.
Yeah, or in this case, didn't see. But yes, baseball is afoot now. And
I would, for sure, it's the foot. It's way down there at the bottom, dirt.
Yes, we all know how you feel about it. But in that spirit, our Rockies are playing tonight. First game of the season. We are on the road for a couple of trips here, starting in Miami and then making our way to Toronto before we get to open at home next week. So I thought, I know you're not gonna bother to learn the names of anyone, and even if I gave you the starting pitching matchups, it wouldn't really matter in your perception of the game. So I thought we'd just have a fun little guessing game this season. We'll look at the games coming up in the week ahead, and you guess how many of them the Rockies will win and which ones they will lose. And whoever we'll keep a little running tally and see who gets closest to predicting their success this year.
I mean, the odds are not in their favor.
Yeah.
Just in general.
So from recording time now till recording time next week, theoretically, we have these 6 games on the docket, 2 3-game road stands, I guess. 3 games in Miami. Sunday is going to be an early game for a getaway day where the Rockies are then going to have to fly directly to Toronto and play the next day at 5 o'clock Toronto time for 3 more games. Of the first 6, how many do you think the Rockies take? What's their record going to be coming into their opening game homestand next weekend?
Who do we have right now?
What do you mean, in players or?
Well, no, just so we have Toronto.
And Miami Marlins and the Toronto Blue Jays are going to be our 2 opponents.
Not a chance we steal a game from Toronto. No. So that's 0-3 right there.
Okay.
Miami, possible. We're both god-awful.
Mm-hmm.
That one's for Netflix, for sure. I think we could probably still 1 or 2, so I'm going to say a nice 2-4.
Okay, I'm going to be the pessimist and take the 1-5. I do think they only take 1 game on this first trip out.
We have new management now.
I think it's going to look a lot better. The games are going to be of higher quality. I don't think we're going to be blown out of games by the 4th inning anymore, but this is still a very fresh, young, unproven ball club with a brand new arrangement and brand new operating system. So, it's going to take a little bit for the traction to hit, I think. So, yeah, that's fun. Speaking of the World Baseball Classic, it seems like Team USA may be a little cursed. Aaron Judge went 0 for 4 in his first game. who was it? There was a couple other guys, but the big highlight one of opening day flurry here was Paul Skeens, who put up nearly a record sub-2 ERA last season over the entirety of the season. Is starting his year with, I believe, a 57 ERA after giving up 5 earned runs in 2/3 of an inning in his first start.
We played a lot of baseball. I mean, it's got to recharge the tank now.
Yeah, and this is definitely like the immediate reaction online was, well, this means no team will ever send their ace to a World Baseball Classic again.
I don't know if we can blame him. Also, the Pirates are not a very good baseball team in general either. I mean, there is the come down to you have to remember which team you're playing for a little bit. The super international USA team who really, really good. The Pittsburgh Pirates, however.
Oh, yeah.
You don't get away with some of the same stuff.
Quick tangent. A news report came out that the Yankees tried to trade 4 prospects for Paul Skeens at the deadline last season, but Pittsburgh was not listening to offers.
Absolutely not. I can't. That's literally their golden goose.
The asterisk on the earned runs on this one do go down to center fielder O'Neal Cruz, who made 2 misplays on balls back-to-back that resulted in 4 of the 5 runs he gave up in that inning. He was at almost 40 pitches and was not even out of the first inning, just thanks to those defensive miscues. So, yeah, that was sort of the highlight of opening weekend here. Netflix screwed the pooch on the first ever challenge, which was a call upheld, I believe.
By whose box?
By the new ABS box, baby. Which I did hear it's all percentage based off of new official height rulings, a measurement from the league. So it is variable between player, which is weird, but they do have the exact measurements on everyone.
Interesting.
Yeah, a funny little technical thing where, like, for a very old school game, this is like the highest bit of tech that they've implemented thus far.
I like it. We're going somewhere.
Indeed. What you got for sports this week?
There is so much interesting and weird sports news. We'll start with a round ball. We don't usually talk about a whole lot here. We'll talk about the football, the soccers.
Ooh.
Of course, we have our brand new team here.
Oh, yes. I did see the Summit finally got the first win.
Summit got their first win, a 2-0, as the football folk would say, victory for their first win, coming onto their first home game tomorrow. Actually, Saturdays. We record this on Friday afternoon.
Yes, that'll be a big news topic for next week, for sure.
For sure. But the weird one that I ran into was, as we know, our sports figures are paid a lot of money, just in general. Mm-hmm. And across the land, the world, as we would call it, there is undoubtedly no sport bigger than football.
Yes, by the numbers, that is the global number one.
And without a doubt, the football players are paid an exorbitant amount of money that even the NFL, the MLBs, the NBA players can't even fathom to think about, especially since there's no caps and it's a wild, wild west out there for the actual Premier League, top league players. Yeah,
that is really where the white whales swim the deepest seas.
Yeah, if you are an owner in one of those leagues, you got pockets. Your pockets be deep, real deep.
It is quite the rich guy fight out there for sure.
But the weird thing is here is so we know we're paying all these players all this money, and a player that a lot of people know, Kylian Mbappe, plays for Real Madrid now. He's France's superstar, kind of the little bit of the face of soccer. He's been struggling with some knee issues, and Real Madrid said, okay, we'll take a look at that. 3 months have passed by, and he's like, something still just doesn't feel right, guys. Only to realize that the medical team did a MRI on the wrong knee.
I did see that. Yeah. Now that not until we almost got to the punchline of the story did I remember I had seen that. Yeah, and did not do enough digging into. Boy, that is a wild level of, and you hear these stories about like medical procedures done on the wrong limb, and it's like, gang, you gotta have some checks, like a checklist or something to go down before we start doing these things.
Just getting whooped by lefty righty is not ideal for a medical staff, especially for someone who is getting paid the amount of money he is getting paid for, and sort of the figure that he is. not a super good or professional look.
Very bad look for the Madrid training staff there because, why would your man be getting an MRI if the result of the MRI was, nope, looks good. I don't see any problem whatsoever.
No problem over here. And be like, well,
it's in your head, kid.
Technically, they're not wrong. There was no problem over there.
In the leg they scanned, yeah.
Yeah. However, the other one, they did find some minor tearing and stuff. So they figured it out a little bit later than
day late and a dollar
everyone
short,
would like, for sure.
Yeah.
Kylian does have to take some time off now. So we'll see how that...
actually do his rehab, yeah.
Yeah, we'll see how all that plays out as we continue to go along.
That is wild.
Other news, of course, the NFL is in a state right now. Of course, we haven't reached the season quite yet, but the NFLPA has been a talk amongst everyone.
Yeah.
JC Tretter's making his sort of rounds.
I was reading a little bit about him and how he actually resigned when the controversy broke out. And the little bit of the article I read was about how his lawyers were telling him, like, don't say anything, and he was, like, desperate to, like, defend himself. So instead of that, he just, like, resigned and stepped away. And then in the search for a new head, the consulting company or whatever came to him and was like, hey, you should apply.
Well, it's weird. So the whole story of him is that he did resign because he had all this stuff, and he did really want to defend himself. So he went on Dan Patrick and did a not so good job of defending himself.
Seems like, not the most media savvy fellow.
And in stepping down, they were looking for the interim, and they're like, maybe you want to do that? And he's like, no, I have no desire whatsoever to be the executive president of the NFLPA ever.
And then 8 months unemployed, and he said, oh, actually, if you're looking for people, I might be qualified.
Yeah, going to approach him and saying, why not you? Why don't you take this over? Of course, this should be said with there's some alleged digging into both the NFLPA and MLBPA for maybe lining their own pockets of sorts. So interesting, for sure.
Yeah, if by interesting you mean suspicious.
For sure suspicious. I mean, everything about this is not
anytime
great.
You have the sort of unfettered access to large sums of money and it starts disappearing, you kind of know where to look first.
Usually, yeah. I mean, step one, check the strip club, apparently, is the NFLPA way.
Yeah, check everyone's texts, see where they've been hanging out, who's been buying expensive properties and vehicles. And
the most interesting piece of this, right, is the NFLPA being their sort of own organization. Really, all this does is benefit the NFL because, as we know, Roger Goodell is the embodiment of all the owners of the league, not the actual players themselves.
Yep.
So any dirty laundry or secrets or whatnot that they may know greatly benefits them into getting whatever they want, like the very anticipated 18-game season. 18 games, not weeks, full games.
Very bad position for labor negotiations when your representative body is kind of a mess right now.
I'd label it as kind of, it's interesting. It's a little bit of a gray area, right? Because the NFL for sure knows everything that's kind of going on, and they know all the things.
Yeah, I mean,
and
like
whatnot.
all those rich white guys run in the same circles. They're buds.
But
outside of work,
no one is gonna morally throw their hands up as like, hey, this is not a good idea for anyone because you gain a whole bunch of leverage for whatever you want.
When your opponent is defeating themselves, don't stop them.
Yeah, why are you hitting yourself a little bit? So
that's straight out of The Art of War, baby. Sun Tzu. Very basic. If you're in conflict with someone and they're not doing themselves any favors, do not help them.
Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself? Why are you hitting yourself?
Now that's a different thing, but either way.
Do not stop man who hits himself.
Yeah, and all of that excitement keeping us busy while the rosters continue to shuffle and new faces in new places all over the place.
Definitely. We are getting close to everyone reporting to training camps and whatnot, though, here very, very soon as we approach April. That is all the NFL news. In the basketball world, and in the hockey world, both are winter sports getting dangerously close to playoff time. For our hometown Denver Nuggets here, we are found our way back into fourth place because the difference between a third and six is really only a couple games. Difference between 4 and 5 is a game. So we'll let you figure that out.
Yeah, it's feisty over here in that middle of the pack.
That's sort of what we're looking for The matchup wise, no one really wants to play the Denver Nuggets because we haven't been healthy, and now that we are starting to get healthy again, we're winning.
We're finally starting to see the full roster back in action again.
Yeah, still doing a lot of load management on Aaron Gordon because we still have a few back-to-backs. Don't let him play in any of those. P. Watt finally made his return back. Unfortunately, Jonas Valanciunas has kind of found his way out of the lineup, not getting as many minutes as he should. Man is just a little bit of a hack machine. If we can fix that up, I think we'll be all right.
And, hopefully it's one of those things of we have the luxury of not having, letting him get some bench time, and maybe come playoff time and intensity jump up, he'll be ready to go.
I'm looking at what's going to be happening in the play-ins. Phoenix, Clippers, Portland, and Golden State are all kind of locked in there. Everyone else in the West is pretty much eliminated. And 5 and 6 are the spots you kind of don't want to be in and stay away from. Minnesota and Houston are sticking there. We do have Anthony Edwards coming back, though, for Minnesota, so that's a little scary for those guys. In the East, anything's possible. Of course, the Detroit did secure a playoff spot before Cam did lose one of his lungs, unfortunately. Boston's right behind them. New York, Cleveland, and Atlanta and Toronto kind of all a few games within each other. Toronto, and Atlanta are a game behind. Philly, Orlando, Charlotte, and Miami all in that play-in game, but also a game or two behind Atlanta. So it's going to be real sketchy there over in the East as well.
Yeah, that's going to be a much tighter fight for that bottom of the bracket there. But very exciting times for sure. Jamal put up that 53-piece the other night. That was good.
After he did a 1 for 13 or whatever the week before.
Yeah, it comes and goes, the shooting.
Him and Jokic did have I think Jokic had a triple-double that game as well, just kind of torching people right now. And getting our duo playing right now.
We like seeing the cylinders clicking together like that at this time of year.
For sure. Tell us what's going on the ice.
Absolutely. Well, the good news is our captain is back and everything is right with the world again. Landy came back on the road trip that we departed on after the shootout loss to Dallas, where we were thinking, these guys are 2 points away from us. They're right on our tail. The road trip went 4-0, and Dallas has fallen on their ass. So with 11 games left on the schedule, we have 9-point lead in the standings currently. We were already the first team to clinch a playoff spot guaranteed. We are, I think, 6 points away from clinching the division. It's looking pretty low stress here for this last little tail end of the season. We are about to do one more game on the road, I believe, tomorrow, because we're still in March, and every even-numbered day we are playing a game. So that means a Monday homestand, I believe, and then a Wednesday game as well, and then they will have more than one day off.
Hey, we will take any days off we can get, I guess.
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, the team's looking solid. Just this last game with Winnipeg I did not realize how long the cold snap has been up in whenever we go out to Winnipeg. Like, it's Connor Hellebuck in net, but the goals have been scarce north of the border up there, and it was a lot of the same this time. But we, for the first time, had Logan O'Connor, Arturi Lehkonen, Ross Colton, and Gabe Landeskog back in the lineup off of the injured reserve. So our usual fourth line were all healthy scratches, and we now run a 1A, basically S-tier line, a second line that would be the first line for most every other team in the league, and then 2 third lines that are basically second lines.
From what I've been seeing across the ice, no one really wants a piece of the Avalanche.
No, your third line has to pair up against Nazem Kadri at center with like Logan O'Connor, and I don't remember who they had as the third winger out there. A wealth of riches in the roster now that we're looking healthy again. So I am excited, breathing a little easier now that Dallas is no longer breathing down our neck. They are now the ones who have to worry about losing their home ice to Minnesota, hunting them down from the third spot. And that's kind of the looks of the league. Buffalo has already clinched their playoff berth this year, breaking the longest in hockey 14-year
They figured it
drought
out
before the New York Jets did, I believe. No, not too surprising, but yeah, the funny thing was like the biggest change that they made this season was a new GM, and he didn't like make a ton of moves or anything. It was largely the pieces from last season, but just that little change up in the organization, and suddenly it's looking a lot cleaner out there.
Amazing what some inspiration can do for you.
Indeed. Yeah, I think that is all the hockey report. Just those last 11 games to look forward to, and then to see who we get in the weird playoff seeding. Right now, that would be, I think, the Mammoth we would get in the first round currently, and then the Stars and Wild would have to do the blood sport first round. Which is one of the biggest arguments against our current non-1-8 matchup playoff format, is just that you have what could be the Western Conference Final happening in the first round. That's going to be, I'm not looking forward to the constant 8:30 p.m. start times when we have to wait for two other games to finish up.
To be fair, though, if we do get the Mammoth, that is a very nice, like, basically home situation. That's a huge rest, especially for this season. That'd be major.
That would be pretty nice to have very limited travel distance. So that's how we're shaping up right now.
And before we leave the sports arena, we did just get a report not too long ago here on this Friday afternoon. Our Tiger Woods has been arrested once again on a DUI accident rollover.
Ooh, I saw he had been in an accident, and details were scarce at the time of reporting. But
from what we know now, he seemed to be impaired in the accident or upon the police's arrival on the accident, and got taken into custody and arrested. 2 misdemeanors allegedly on this guy, but nothing has been official.
Talk about guy not learning his lessons.
Well, he just returned back to the indoor golf league that he does with the golf simulators like a week ago.
Interesting.
Got in the accident and no one is sure if he'll play in the PGA this year or not, but he is April 8th of the start time, so a couple weeks away from that.
I mean, he has a pretty good track record of hurting himself pretty badly in these car accidents, because this is not the first time.
I think this is like the third one already.
It's at least second, for sure. If I'm remembering the events correctly and not missing one, the first one was not a DUI, but that was the wife chasing him with a golf club one.
That one happened. There's the one he did like the whole spin and destroyed his knee on.
I was thinking was the first one.
And
for
then there's
impaired
this one.
Driving, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's unfortunate, but once again, there's not really any good argument to when you are a person of the means to hire a driver. Hire a driver.
It's like we had a whole talk about legacy a couple of weeks ago, but man, to be considered like one of the greatest, if not the greatest golfer of all time, to what he's kind of done the past couple of years, not been ideal, especially since he'd kind of been on a little bit of an upswing just as a person.
Yeah,
overall.
It seemed like he'd done the first one, the DUI thing, and then seemed like he was, making the steps to improve himself and whatnot. I mean, addiction's a hell of a thing, and, relapse it's much easier to end up relapsing than it is to stay clean. And that's a tough fight to fight in a very public life. But if you can hire a driver.
Yeah, just unfortunate. It's unfortunate and bad decisions overall.
It's one of those things that, because I'm sure the further down the line of history and it's less close to when he actually has done these things, it'll be easier and easier for people to say, oh, but if you just look at the golf career, what a great guy. And you're like, yeah, but he is, as a human being, you are more than just your achievements.
If we want to go on a crazy tangent, I saw this crazy video, right? There's a lot of people we kind of have to separate the things they do from the the things that they done, which is
our historical heroes who, when you dig any deeper than the surface of their top achievements, just
a lot of different people are you can say about this, artists and whatnot. I'm sure we've had this conversation.
Notoriety tends to do that.
We've had this conversation too, but the wildest one I saw was someone said that they love to listen to R. Kelly music because the victims have to get paid
Okay. Yeah. So there are fun little wrinkles like that where, yeah, if in the rulings, yeah, you know now that the victims are the beneficiary of the streaming revenue, then that, yeah, morally uncomplicates the streaming in that instance. For
Absolutely,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. That's a fun little flip on the normal equation.
Which is a wild, crazy thought to like think about, but also he's not wrong.
Yeah, no, it's like, okay, in this instance, yes, the things have lined up so that is the good thing to do. Yeah. Oddly enough.
Strangely enough. Where else would you like to go on our journey through this podcast episode?
Well, I don't know how deep we got to go into it, but from the music world, I did finally sit down and listen to that new BTS album, Arirang, and to me, didn't sound that much like BTS.
It's interesting to say that because they kind of went back a little bit more to their hip hop roots. It's a very like rapish, heavy album for the most part. It's not as poppy and kind of.
Yeah, now that you say that, it does. If it sounds like any part of the BTS era, it's far more into that early days versus where we left them before the military service break with Butter and Dynamite and the very pop friendly.
Yeah, you're not. I don't know if we're gonna ever kind of see that beat. I mean, we have like little hints of that BTS around, but it's much more. From what I've seen from all their interviews and whatnot, it's a lot more of them kind of finding their musical sound again and having gone through the military experience and coming back together after a long time. Like,
and
what
a lot
do we
of
do
them
next?
did solo work while like when one was in and the others weren't. Everyone was kind of staying busy. That tends to affect the group dynamics once everyone has gone away and gone to do some individual exploration and growth as well, because it definitely sounds different, and like they were definitely trying some new sounds and whatnot, and I applaud them for that, but not really any bangers that I'm adding into the playlist or anything.
I like a lot of the songs on that one. For me, I think out of all the BTS albums, like all the other ones are very, very poppy, but I love Hooligan, Body to Body's great. There's a couple weird songs on there, like number 29 is just kind of like
it's like a spacer track, yeah.
Yeah, spacer track a little bit. Swim's not bad. It's not my favorite one. It's kind of the single off the track. I love Please. Please is probably one of my favorite, if not my favorite one. They don't know about us.
Please was the top one that I liked off of this one.
Because it sounds most like what they kind of left us doing.
100%. It is the closest thing to a baton pass from the old sound, which I appreciated. But, I mean, yeah, for some Army folk, I think are fully down. But if you were just sort of looking for the vibes, this one probably isn't hitting quite so hard.
Nah, there's vibes there.
It's different vibes. But if you're looking for the pop, dancey stuff, that ain't this.
Nope, not this one.
That was my only music note.
Don't believe I have any music notes. Kind of been a little bit dry, waiting for some more new stuff to drop.
Indeed. I will probably, we'll keep track through the year, but I've still been going back to the mountain every now and then too.
Yeah, me and you have
we've gone opposite so far in the two big ones. It's fine. That's how it be sometimes. Our Venn diagrams are overlaps, not circles.
I have learned to appreciate I don't dislike the mountain. I've gotten to where it's not so bad anymore.
Okay, that's good. How about we hop over then to the other media category of movies and TV, where I think we both have some notes this week.
Yeah, we do. All about them live action things coming alive. Well, anything from our fantasy worlds coming to life.
Yes, very much so. I'll let you pick the first one.
We can go down the hole everyone would like to jump down, the big old hole that's sitting right there in front of us, not too far away, to see, apparently coming to us, actually, allegedly, Christmas Day of this year.
Harry Potter, yeah.
Indeed.
So we got our first look at the new HBO series, Harry Potter, that will be covering the events of the Philosopher's/Sorcerer's Stone, depending on.
I very much dislike the Philosopher's Stone.
Well, that's because we live in a different culture from.
But it's not.
UK.
It's just I don't like it just as a thing, but just from a naming standpoint.
Yeah.
The Sorcerer's Stone just sounds.
The alliteration is much cleaner to American ears, for sure.
Philosopher's Stone is just so wordy.
You could have also gone with the Sage's Stone, but I feel like the more syllables sounds better with the flow of it. But neither here nor there. Yes, a new trio of kids have been cast to portray the golden trio, as it were. And a lot of it looks familiar. A lot of it, we've gotten a little bit, I would say, slightly new art direction on some of the overall, like, the Quidditch robes are a little different. They look a little bit more like a sports thing now.
Everyone in this one, at least for the casting, feels a lot younger, except for Dumbledore, who feels a lot older.
Well, I don't think that's incorrect. Like, Dumbledore should feel old as dirt. The one that doesn't feel old enough to me is Nick Frost as Hagrid.
That one,
he looks a little too fresh and young.
I mean, Hagrid's not supposed to be
He's supposed to be like in his 60s or 70s.
But he's a giant. He's a baby.
I mean, that's kind of the thing, but I mean, they could have graded him up a little more.
He's a baby.
It's mostly a compliment to Nick Frost for looking too young.
I bet Nick Frost is close to that age.
He's in his 40s, if not 50s. That's
53.
Yeah.
He's right
been
there.
Around, yeah.
Perfect Hagrid age.
But he doesn't look it is the problem for not fitting the character. But there's a couple new choices in the casting department, and one that is a little bit more problematic than others. Severus Snape's a black fella in this one.
Papa, what is his last? How do you pronounce his last?
Let's see. I have not looked up who the actor is, in fact.
I've seen him in other...
But the problem being several-fold in this new choice. First off, my most minor of the bunch, Papa Esidu.
Yes.
Papa is a conventionally pretty attractive fellow, especially in the dreads, and they've given him a sort of leather jacket, more styled outfit. He's far too suave and attractive to have been the social pariah that Severus Snape is described as multiple times through the series. This is supposed to be a guy that's creepy, unlikable, described as greasy oftentimes, hook-nosed, and his whole trauma thing comes from that he was a very outcast child from a home of abuse. Now, all of that notwithstanding, the other thing Severus Snape is known for is being an early adopter of the wizard white supremacist group. The fact that he is bullied by James Potter and hung up by his ankles at one point in a flashback of bullying that was formative to both him and the Potters, and is then going to be the main... seen as the villain by all of the hero characters for the final act of the story if we get all the way to book 7. It's just a very poor choice of... It changes a lot of dynamics in this story by changing the race of the character.
A little bit, but there have been a number of issues with our author, J.K. herself.
Indeed.
She lacks a lot of representation, I think, across the board.
I mean, once the fervor of the series died down after the whole thing was out, and you kind of take a look back and go a little more critically at it, there is some very unsubtle racial stereotypings and whatnot that, are not great on a second look, especially with the continued use of them throughout the series. And then, that none of that covering her own personal behavior outside of the world of fiction.
You're not wrong, but
it's just one of those things, like, it's a thing where people who mean well and say, like, oh, well, race shouldn't matter. Everyone should be open to that, anyone should be able to play anyone in this fantasy world. And it's like, right, but there's still only the one black guy, we didn't really switch it up for that many other folks in the story here. Hermione, who is notably the other main recipient of racial prejudice, is also a little browner in this one, unfortunately. But they're just like... I get the sentiment and the wish that we could be in that world where race doesn't matter, but unfortunately, you can't just jump out of the world where racism has been really bad for a long time and just expect the victims of it to be cool with everyone being equal now.
Yeah, I'm interested to see if this comes back to like remaining true and the whole discussion that we had also early on about how closely do we follow the book on all this stuff, like if it's just like Harry Potter but my version. Why?
I mean, that would, I think, be the most interesting thing they could do, is to start treating it as that sort of like fable thing where here are all the same elements of the story in terms of characters and base, like kicking off point, and then see if it goes off in a different direction this time. That could be an interesting twist. I don't think they're doing that, but I would be kind of interested to see a version of that.
I think you have to a little bit, because hopefully someone at HBO has pointed out probably the same concerns that you had about the material and stuff like that.
If they did, they got waved down pretty easily because they've been filming it.
Yeah, I mean, we are kind of going a little bit more towards like the fable route and some of the other things that have been done, from what the material is to what this looks like in sort of a live action sort of setting, where the things and whatnot are still there. Like Snake can still be a villain, but he's not the villain that we all knew and loved him as.
Certain people were down once the sort of, I mean, how long has it been since Harry Potter 7 came out? That was
over a decade ago.
Easily. But yeah, spoiler warning, Severus Snape was a good guy the whole time. And when
that one's way more than a decade. Whew, yeah.
Yeah. Maybe since the movies, at least a decade. But once you have the full story of the character, it's a little easier to be like, what a misunderstood anti-hero who sacrificed everything for love, I guess, even if the love was pretty creepy and stalkerish.
Like I said, we don't have to base it on the...
Right. But that being said, if we're going to do a new take on him, I mean, it's going to be, it's going to be a thing that sticks out like a sore thumb, because so many other beats we already kind of can see are going to look very similar, if not the exact same.
Yeah, I get that. I'm interested to see what they do. Like, I think they shouldn't, as we've said, stick to the material as is, because it's not gonna play out how you think it is.
Yeah, that is the unfortunate truth of the whole thing. Is if you were interested in it and looked a little deeper, there are plenty of other magical fantasy coming of age stories that have come up in the wake of like people who were raised on the Harry Potter series and recognized those flaws and have written better, more inclusive, more wholesome stories.
Percy Jackson.
That don't involve our main hero's super ability being his mom loved him the most.
He is an only child, so.
/ you were also the villain Big Bad's secret soul chest for a while.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think he meant for that to happen. You're an accident.
Yeah, be very lucky is kind of the overall lesson from the Harry Potter series.
God damn it! I dropped my Horcrux.
What else was happening in the world of movie and TVs this week?
Last week actually, we got our full One Piece season 2. I'm a big fan of the One Piece. I am on damn near 800 episodes in on the anime.
I was going to say, you've been doing the sort of parallel original animation up against the new live action stuff, so you have a pretty good representative take on the whole thing. How's it going?
Actually, the One Piece one is probably the best anime manga to live action there's ever been, I would arguably say, because they've been done so horribly.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's not a lot of top contenders for that title.
You mean Death Note's not up there?
Death Note's not up there. Cowboy Bebop's not up there. Cowboy
Bebop, I don't feel like they didn't give it like a proper chance. Netflix kind of threw it out there. It didn't give
a full chance, but they also, as we just kind of discussed, were also making some changes from the original source material that...
unnecessary ones, to be fair, for that one.
Which is, yeah, it's like cooking. You got to know how much of it to use and in what ratios. And
yeah, Cowboy Bebop is the one that I have an issue with because it's only 24 episodes just as is.
And why'd you need to go? Yeah, why shrinking, cutting, adding?
We don't need to do that.
Yu Yu Hakusho is kind of up there for me, but it's basically a movie.
That one's kind of middle ground.
It's definitely, it's also one that is not true to the source material. Like, it's not the same story, but it's true to the source material more or less. It's fun, but it's not the same story.
Yeah, I don't think there's anyone else like anime even to live action. The new Avatar: The Last Airbender is not bad, in my opinion, personally. Like I don't mind it compared to the original. I think it's a fun take.
I mean, the fact that I had forgotten it existed, I think it shows its overall cultural impact versus the original.
Yeah, we did the horrible Dragon Ball movies. Those were
a long time ago, and yeah, kind of poisoned the well for any other future Dragon Ball projects, unfortunately.
Yeah, sadly enough. But this one, however, series of One Piece, like I said, there are, I think, 1,155 episodes, if I remember correct, and counting.
In season 1.
Yeah, before we get to the season 2 split now, where we're getting not as many episodes, not weekly anymore.
Yeah, I think now on monthly release schedule, I believe, is the big change.
Bi-weekly or something like that, and they'll take little breaks here and there. But to do this in an animation standpoint or in a live action standpoint, we ain't got time for all that. It's taken since 99, I think it's been going on. We don't have enough time. People are going to get older.
You can't go one for one. Yeah.
So you got to do some cutting, shortening, and whatnot. And I think overall for the series of One Piece and what how they're doing the storytelling, the arcs, like each season is still an arc and a half-ish, depending on where they sort of decide to make that cut. It's very, very good. Like if you haven't tried One Piece or have an interest in the anime, or that's a little bit too long, same with the manga that's still ongoing, it's a good place to dive in, take a look at, and sort of get those feels. Like they've done a really good job with how the characters are designed, what the story's being told. It still feels like One Piece.
Yeah, I think much to its credit, I've seen a lot of the people involved with it either came into the project already being fans of the manga or dug into it once they were cast and similarly fell in love with it. So it is very much like a passion project, from actors to writers to the production people working the cameras and all that.
Well, the one thing I will say that they have had the opportunity and just fortune of is they've even had the creator come in and sort of give his input on how things have done, which you don't get to see very often. Having
the blessing of the original writer, creator.
Blessing and input.
A huge boon that, not all projects have had the benefit of. I've definitely caught like some of the clips from it that have been very fun, like I think it's Zoro, the sword guy.
Zoro's our green-haired sword guy.
And his fight with the piratey guy who uses the little sword. That's great. Very fun live-action translation of... Because it's one of those things that if you were like reading it in the manga or seeing it as an anime thing, you'd be like, they couldn't really do that in any other format, and then they've taken it here and like, actually,
like I said, to make the series of One Piece is so like fanatical. What is the word I'm looking for? Fantastical. That's the word I'm looking for. That my tongue won't cooperate with.
I mean, the other ones you were using were all real words, just not the right one.
Correct. That, yeah. Actually, yeah. But it is in such a realm that it doesn't feel like true to life. It's hard to capture in true to life, especially from how the world is set up to what the characters look like and how they maneuver and what their abilities are. It's very difficult to capture, but they've done so with all the pieces and the props and just the way they've done the scenes and all the rigs they've had to set up to capture things.
Yeah, that was, I think, the biggest fear when we heard about the live action version of One Piece is such a unique and specifically described world in what it's doing and the vibe that it has and all that it was very easy to imagine a world where the live action version has to be watered down into a more realistic world, and that basically rinses all the fun off of the thing. The
one thing that I kind of going back to what we've talked about Harry Potter, the one thing that they've done is they've brought in a very, very diverse cast, which makes sense because again the vibe behind One Piece is we're on this sort of exploration and adventure that we're going to travel the world and see all these different peoples of different cultures and all this sort of stuff. So
yeah,
having that representation is huge.
And true to real world analogs of people who are who were in that like era of wooden ship exploration of the world in our real world. It was a very whether by circumstance or choice, a very diverse world in terms of like, you sailing around the world, hitting different ports, you pick up people along the way, and you get exposed to a lot of different cultures that way.
I've learned a lot about more about One Piece, especially this week, just about how the creator thought about it versus the anime versus how the live action is going, and considering what the feel is, the live action does something different than the anime. The anime, unfortunately, was brought on in a time in Japan and around the world where you had to be a little bit more white presenting and whitewashed for people to enjoy and get along with. You can point out a lot of different characters who portray.
That's a pretty common thing that can be leveled at a lot of that era of anime, just that whitewashing or Asian washing in some cases,
where they have to be a little bit more presenting in a way that makes everyone feel better, allegedly,
for the audience to enjoy it, quote unquote.
For Oda, his the idea of where these people look like and whatnot when his manga looks more similar, or should be more similar to how the live action fits. The other thing that he's a huge proponent in is he wants to not only be a world builder but a character builder. He wasn't as interested in doing some of the fan service that a lot of anime folk are known for. He had a very specific way to design people, and he says you have to, if you're going to love this character, you're going to love this character for who they are and what they do and what the story is behind them, not for how they look or anything else about them.
And Oda is definitely one of those very unique and instantly recognizable character design styles. Sort of like in Akira Toriyama, you always know when Akira Toriyama designed the people in this story. Oda is it's oh yeah, that's the One Piece style.
Like I said, especially looking now, the manga looks not quite this. It's similar to the anime, but the anime takes of course
after so many years, both formats evolve a little
bit, and they take a little bit of their own creative stuff because you want people to watch, and they're watching for certain things.
Yeah, for sure. And it's definitely interesting to see the condensation, because serialized anime is a particular format that wants that sort of weekly format and has famously a lot of recap built into each episode, that if you
filler for all those folks,
slice it out, you would get a lot shorter runtime for actual plot progression. Or
there's a lot of, especially in what we're going to call the shonen anime, where the Naruto's, the Dragon Ball Z's, where about a quarter or a third of your episodes might just be filler because we got to fill everyone in on what the story is, how we got here, especially as we jump into new arcs or in the middle of an arc as to who everyone is, because we might have new audiences coming along.
Yes, it has to be able to onboard people per episode, but also be engaging over the full length. I don't know if you knew this about that era of anime production as well. A lot of that filler repetition was also budget based. When they got their budgets,
you have all your animation stuff
at the start of the season. You look at your budget and you say, okay, how many cool big fights do we need to have? How many Cell battles are we doing? How many Frieza fights are we doing? Make sure we pay for those. And now what do we have left? Oh, and that's what we have to cover the other 90% of the season. Well, we're going to have to cut some corners.
Yeah, and with the callbacks and all the filler stuff, you already have most of your stuff from what you've already done previously. Just slap that bad boy in there.
Basically, anytime, you can reuse a scene or a background or any assets you've already been using. That's saving money, baby.
The crazy thing, so One Piece has been going on so long that we've gone through different formats of television, actually, from squares to rectangles and things like that. So for a little bit there, they used to, whenever they'd have to do a callback, you'd have some Striders or something running along because it doesn't fit on the screen anymore.
That's funny.
But for me, I think it's worthwhile if you are an anime fan or like the world of fantasy. Overall, just good vibes from One Piece. I think it's everyone should give One Piece a chance, but that's just me as a fan.
Indeed. I think it is shaping up to be. I will be interested because it's, again, a story that is ongoing in its original format, even despite this, like, what is it? The Russian nesting doll of adaptations following behind it in different variations. Still waiting to see how it wraps up on the OG story. So, yeah, a long future ahead of it, hopefully. Because
and if anyone's out there, so the story of One Piece is basically there's this one piece, or it's just like this coin or medallion that's out there that's supposed to signify. There we go. Words are hard. All the work that you've done and whatnot. Oda himself has already written what the final is going to be and has gone out to sea and buried it to where he only knows. So people can actually people can actually go out there and search for the One Piece ending finale, which is within itself a One Piece.
Yeah, because if you are unfamiliar, it is a story of sea-bound adventurers hunting for
pirates, if you will.
Pirates, yes, hunting for treasure on the high seas amongst various other factions who are doing similar things, and goes on a wild adventure, which is find a version of it that you like and jump in, because it's not going anywhere anytime soon. It feels like.
Who knows? Only Oda knows. Actually, he does know, and the sea knows.
Yeah. I did not know that's real life wrinkle too.
He did that actually a month or two ago, and people have been trying to decipher from the internet as to what because you can see you can see what the weather looks like, what the ocean looks like in a picture of the boat, and people are out there doing a lot of research and have some theories as to where this is potentially.
I'm sure the geoguessers have already been called in.
Yeah, geoguessers were the kind of the first one on top of it, but I think he did a good enough job to where it's hidden away, well, at least one would think.
I mean, the ocean's a pretty good place to start hiding things for the most part. It's like the least explored part of our planet. Little tangent. GeoGuessers, that's crazy. How you do that?
GeoGuessers? So you have to get very good.
I mean, I get the basic premise of it, but like if the YouTube guys who make the career of it, of just like
it's like a professional sport now a little bit.
Yeah, it's insane to be able to just like bloop, and it's a picture of a sky, a dirt road, and some trees, and to have like the encyclopedic knowledge of like, that those trees only grow in the Western Hemisphere.
You have to know where the specific plants grow, what the dirt looks like, how the roads look, which way you're driving on the road, which is an easier one of which is the easiest of those things.
Are you facing northwest, east, south, all that stuff? Because it's like one thing if there are like hints in the picture or whatever, like Colorado has the handy mountains on the west type of thing, depending.
You don't really know what north. You're just going. You don't know what north, south, east, west look like.
Yeah,
it's dropped off somewhere.
But to be able to pull that off, it boggles the brain. Yeah, that was all I had on that.
Superpower.
Indeed.
Anything else before we wrap up this episode?
Oh, movie news. Did you hear about Stephen Colbert's?
Oh, I had that on the list. We have, speaking of nerd stuff, Stephen Colbert, who somehow is going to end up with a lot of time on his hands coming up very, very soon here.
Yes, with the end of The Late Show approaching, Stephen announced, I guess it was earlier this week, that he's already got his next project lined up. He's going to be directing
and writing.
Has already, written with his son, who is old enough to be a professional screenwriter as well, because we're all old as dirt. Yes, written and will be directing a new Lord of the Rings movie.
Which is apparently a few chapters of walking that we got skipped out on.
Yes.
With the blessing and help of Peter Jackson, of course.
And even collaboration with Philippa Boyd, who was on the original writing team as well, I believe. And yes, it is part of the original text of The Fellowship of the Ring that was cut for time, basically, for story clarity out of the movies.
We can't spend 6 movies walking.
Which they could have, 100%.
That's what we call filler, baby.
It will be the Hobbits, I think, for reasons, it'll just be Merry and Pippin telling the stories of their adventures to Sam's daughter in the in-world. Like, that's the setup for why we're getting this recap. I
forget who played Merry and Pippin come back. Moynihan and another guy.
Merry and Pippin are Dominic Monaghan and Billy Boyd.
Yeah.
100%. Because all of the Hobbit actors and whatnot have been on the late night circuit and whatnot, and it is known throughout the industry that Stephen Colbert is the sort of reigning Tolkien nerd in the media world.
Without a doubt.
Yeah, no questions asked. So I'm sure all parties will happily hop in to be involved, and that'll be fun to look forward to in probably a couple of years.
Yeah, I'm interested to see, because that is a big switch up from him going to be kind of the face and the voice of something. I assume he's done some writing of his own, to kind of having a little bit of your own passion project that you get to write and direct.
That's you have to know, in the head of a nerd who is so deeply entrenched in this fantasy world that he knows the languages, he knows all of the backstory and little extra tidbits there are to know. He definitely has some thoughts and opinions on which stories are underrepresented or which ones have been a little overhyped. If anyone is going to have something interesting to bring out of the Tolkien works, it's Stephen Colbert.
I thought there was there's been a lot more Lord of the Rings, especially coming soon and these days around, that wasn't available before. Of course, we still have the series on Amazon Prime. We got the animated movie, which was really good if you haven't seen that quite yet.
We got an animated movie?
There was an animated, before the Lord of the Rings sort of thing.
Oh, War of the Rohirrim. Yes, I do vaguely remember that, and it's kind of anime-ish.
Yeah. It's very good.
Okay, yeah.
If you haven't checked that out yet, I highly suggest you do, especially as a Lord of the Rings fan.
Yeah, indeed. I have not check that one out, but also everyone is Lord of the Rings is hot topic since it is anniversary year as well, 25th anniversary of the original coming out, as we know.
We know, or you know?
I know. I have it in several docs.
Before we wrap here, if someone was going to give you a piece of their fantasy world, which fantasy world would you like? A piece of your own?
Oh, to do something with?
Yeah.
That's a great question. My first instinct is to say Pokemon, but also the Golden Sun RPG series that was very niche on the Game Boy Advance era really flew under a lot of people's radar, and I thought that was a really good world as well that we could have some fun with, even outside of the original stories. And as a third place, Steven Universe, maybe.
Interesting.
I like the Steven world. That's a fun mythos of the sentient rocks.
Interesting. That one you could have some fun with, because you can go take your own little geode and do a little adventure.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a lot of fun chemistry in minerals and whatnot that the show only scratched the surface of.
That's for sure. With that said, take us out.
Yes. Thank you once again for coming along on this journey through the week wrap up on 321 Presents. As always, we'd love to hear your feedback on your favorite part of the show, things you'd like to hear more of, things you'd like to hear less of. As always, we just ask a little 5-star click on that review button to go along with that good feedback, and we'll get right back at you. You can find our episodes and all the other fine products from 321 Productions at our website, 321pods.com. I think that's everything for this week, so thanks for coming along. I have been your co-host Nick, with our host with the most, Zach.
Thank you guys for coming along. We will see you guys next week.
Adios.